something's changed in the streets of Bogota over the past 2 years. Violinists are flooding its streets. And they're all Venezuelan. Eric is from the eastern region of Mongas, and he's not alone. He joined several members of his former orchestra here in the Colombian capital.
I was the first one to arrive here. Then other musicians arrived, one after another. We started different street bands, and this one here is ours.
His instrument technically belongs to the Venezuelan state, though he left the country knowing he can use his violin to work anywhere in the world. And he's not the only one. Faced with shortages of food and medicine, some 300,000 Venezuelans have fled to Bogota.
We used to make a living out of our music and live well, but things have changed. Now a Venezuelan salary isn't even enough to buy food.
Playing on the streets of Bogota's wealthier neighborhoods earns the musicians enough to rent a room and even help their families. Still, they never forget where they come from. This Venezuelan flag-themed jacket is the official uniform of El Sistema, a music education program which has trained more than 2 million Venezuelans from disadvantaged backgrounds over the past 40 years. The program has radically transformed the role of classical music in Venezuela. Located in Caracas, Venezuela Symphony Orchestra is the country's oldest and most prestigious.
Our orchestra is a cultural landmark in Venezuela, one that has always overcome political and economic problems. All our members are redoubling their efforts to preserve it, because this is part of the nation's cultural heritage.
Long resistant to the ebb and flow of politics until now, over the last 3 years, dozens of its members have left.
It's mostly the violin players who've left the country, and their absence is being felt. Normally we should have at least 10 first violins and 8 second violins, but now we only have 7 and 5 respectively.
Musicians who leave are often replaced by younger ones, trained by El Sistema. But now the newer musicians too are tempted to emigrate.
It's a difficult situation. Some musicians have 2 or 3 kids, but they earn the minimum wage. We all earn minimum wage.
Yes, it's the equivalent of $6 a month. It's $3 every 2 weeks.
Can a family even live on $6?
5,000 Venezuelans emigrate each day. With regular water and power outages and the deepening humanitarian crisis, those who stay in the country are focused simply on survival. And yet, despite all of the difficulties, the Symphonic Orchestra of Venezuela still performs regularly for its loyal audience. Each recital an act of devotion to keeping the orchestra alive.
I'm sure our audience will appreciate the fact we provide them with this space where their minds can escape, where they can think about something else.
Inside these walls, the crisis fades, giving way to the music.
It's food for the soul. It compensates for the crisis.
Excelente.
A little slice of musical bliss, far from the chaos outside. It's a big day in Bogota for these Venezuelan musicians. They're holding their first indoor concert at a venue in a working-class neighborhood.
Little by little, we'll eventually stop playing in the street. That's what all of us want.
This is yet another group composed primarily of Venezuelan immigrants. At the origin of the project, a conductor who was trained in Caracas by El Sistema's founder, José Antonio Abreu.
Music isn't only for people who can afford it. No. My maestro, may he rest in peace, Maestro José Antonio Abreu used to say, hardships are always the beginning of a great project. And our project is to turn this orchestra into one of Bogota and Colombia's best.
Sí, buenas tardes. Me agrada ver que hayan venido con todos los niños.
The audience rarely has the opportunity to hear Mozart. Playing classical music for the masses. It's a practice Venezuelans are proud of. and one that, just like the country's emigrants, is also crossing borders.